to captivating conversations, news analysis, giving you all sides to the story. We break in-depth discussions on the issues that matter, from politics to sports, entertainment, and lifestyle. VOP TV on SLTV, channel 264. Join us as we redefine what television means to you. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice. VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice.
We encourage you to click on the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Voice of the People TV. Also follow us on all our social media platforms. We are at VOP TV Live. Visit our website www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. Also watch us live on SLTV channel 264. VOP TV, Voice of the People Television.
VOP TV. Now you have more than a...
Yes, you are on to Voice of the People TV, live here in Benin City, the cradle of black civilization. What are you waiting for? Tune in, bro.
VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice.
Voice of the People. To echo the voices of the people. Big up VOP TV.
My name is Ibifa Dokobo. Please keep watching VOP TV.
Hi, my name is Kwekumali Ikenda Onyekwena, and I am with the Voice of the People TV. Now, if you're looking for the veritable channel for information, politics, robust discussions, you don't need to go far. VOP has you. VOP will always have you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Patrick Diabwa, aka Ibani Chuka. I'm the Eagle King, and you are watching VOP TV. Stay with us.
Oh, yes,
Well, hello and welcome to the Midday News and Voice of the People Television. I am David Edwin. Before we begin the news, we would urge you to kindly visit our website. It's www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news stories. We begin the African news with the midday news with the headlines. Consumer body Flays tariff policy as subsidy nears 2 trillion naira yearly. Revenue Committee assures tax acts to benefit economy citizens. Johesu slams criminal retirement in health sector. Opposition threatens Ekiti poll boycott over PDP exclusion. Atiku Abubakar vows no stepping down for anyone in ADC. Court grants Malami son, wife bail of 1.5 billion naira. In business, Nimasa bars non-compliant vessel from Nigerian waters. In the world of sports, Cote d'Ivoire seals last 8 with 3 goals past Burkina Faso. In entertainment, NITDA, future map partner on Kannywood Film Studios. Now the news in full. The Nigerian Electricity Consumer Advocacy Network, NECAN, has taken a swipe at the federal government over its service-based electricity tariff policy, stating that the adjustments have failed to reduce subsidy payments and rather deepen the power sector inefficiencies. This comes as the federal government incurred a total of 1.98 trillion naira in subsidy obligation from October 2024 to September 2025, with 458.75 billion naira incurred in the third quarter of 2025 alone, according to the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission's quarterly report released on Tuesday. NECA National Secretary Uket Obonga said the introduction of the Band A tariff regime, which government officials justified as a pathway to subsidy reduction, had delivered the opposite outcome. According to Obonga, it is more baffling that the revenue collected by the distribution companies, that's the DISCOs, is almost at par with what the federal government now pays as electricity subsidy, thereby raising doubts about the policy's effectiveness. The body accused the DISCOs of benefiting from poor supply while continuing to collect tariffs from consumers, adding that the original objective of the service-based tariff regime had collapsed as the structure of electricity demand in Nigeria is fundamentally flawed. Meanwhile, Chairman of the National Tax Policy Implementation Committee, Joseph Tegbe, has described the Nigerian Tax Reform Act 2025 as a more sustainable fiscal framework, saying that it will significantly strengthen the economy and protect citizens. Tegbe explained that by broadening the tax base, simplifying rules, and improving administration, the reform will create a more predictable environment for businesses and households, thereby encouraging compliance and investment. Citing countries like South Korea, Singapore, and Rwanda, where effective tax reforms have driven development and improved living standards, Tegbe said the policy direction aligns with global best practices. According to him, a key focus of the acts is the protection of low-income earners and small businesses with measures including zero personal income tax for individuals earning up to 800,000 naira annually, and the expansion of zero-rated value-added tax items in critical sectors such as healthcare, education, and agriculture. Away from that, the joint health sector unions, that's Johesu, has warned that the federal government's recent review of the health sector retirement age, which it said selectively favors one cadre, threatens equity, teamwork, and effectiveness in healthcare delivery. In an open letter to the Office of the Head of Civil Service of the Federation, Johesu expressed concerns over what it described as a discriminatory implementation of a policy that was originally conceived to benefit all health workers. According to the union, healthcare delivery in Nigeria is multidisciplinary, and any policy that elevates one group We sincerely apologize for that technical difficulty. Still moving on with the Johesu story. In an open letter to the Office of the Civil Service of the Federation, Johesu expressed concerns over what it described as a discriminatory implementation of a policy that was originally conceived to benefit all health workers. According to the Union Healthcare Delivery Nigeria is multidisciplinary, and in any policy that elevates one group above others undermines equity, teamwork, and system efficiency. It accused the federal government of health and social welfare of hijacking its demands for an increase in the retirement age of all health workers from 60 to 65 years, with health consultants retiring at 70 years after the approval to advance a selective retirement age extension that largely benefits physicians. Meanwhile, the National Association of Residence Doctors has dismissed claims that its planned industrial action was politically motivated, saying that it had become inevitable following doctors' deteriorating welfare conditions, shifting of government positions, and weeks of unmet promises. NAD also rejected claims that its memorandum of understanding with the government, which led to the suspension of an earlier strike, had been implemented. According to NAD President Dr. Mohammed Sulaiman, none of the agreed demands, including the reported 90 billion naira allocation for health workers allowances in the 2026 budget, had been fulfilled since the signing of the MOU. Sulaiman, alongside other union leaders, told newsmen in Abuja that the association's stance was driven solely by the need to safeguard the welfare and safety of members rather than the partisan consideration. And to some legal martyrs, the Federal High Court in Abuja has granted the former Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami and his son Abdulaziz bail in the sum of 1 billion naira. In a ruling, the trial justice Emeka Nwite equally granted Malami's wife and defendants in the case, Bashir Asabe, bail in the sum of 500 million naira. Justice Nwite directed all the defendants to provide two sureties, each in a like sum, who must be owners of landed properties in either Asokoro, Maitama, or Gwarimpa districts of the Federal Capital Territory in Abuja. The court further ruled that aside the submission of title documents of the properties for verification, the defendants must surrender their travel passports, while the sureties must submit two of their recent passport photographs and depose to an affidavit of means. The court warned that the defendants must not travel outside the country without permission and adjourned the case till February the 17th for trial. And to some political matters, some opposition parties in Ekiti State under the umbrella Inter-Party Advisory Committee (IPAC) have threatened to boycott the state's June 20th governorship election over the exclusion of the People's Democratic Party (PDP's) governorship flag bearer Dr. Wale Oluyede from the official candidate list. Joining the PDP's peaceful protest and meeting at the Independent National Electoral Commission headquarters in Edo Ekiti, IPAC State Chairman Owola Daramola said the opposition parties would not participate in the election with any party or candidate excluded. Daramola told newsmen that IPAC in Ekiti wants to establish a free, fair, credible, and inclusive elections narrative in the state, noting that the PDP conducted its primaries according to the rules and its candidates emerged duly. In the meantime, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has vowed that neither he nor any other aspirants will withdraw from another of the African Democratic Congress ahead of the party's primaries for the 2027 presidential election. Atiku's opposition in a statement by his media aide Paul Ibe followed recent comments by Peter Obi's allies, including Professor Patutomi, activist Aisha Yusufu, and the coordinator of the Obedient Movement, Dr. Tanko Yusuf, that Obi would not be a vice presidential candidate in the coalition. Atiku rejected any suggestion that he should step aside, describing such calls, whether overt or covert, as dangerous for Nigeria's democracy. According to him, any call for Atiku to step aside is a gift to authoritarian ambition and a betrayal of the Nigerian people. Meanwhile, he accused President Bola Tinubu's administration of shrinking the democratic peace and deliberately weakening opposition parties in a bid to impose what he described as a creeping de facto one-party state. Still talking politics, the Coalition of United Political Parties, that's the CUPP, has described as a national disgrace and proof of the federal government's failure to protect citizens the recent massacre of defenseless citizens in Kazuwan Dachi community of Niger State by suspected bandits. No fewer than 42 villagers were reportedly killed and several others injured when suspected bandits opened gunfire on the Kazuwan Daji community over the weekend and further abducted a yet-to-be-verified number of villagers. Condemning the incidents, the CUPP National Secretary Peter Ame said in Abuja that the attack was a profound disgrace to any nation that professes to safeguard the lives of its citizens. He regretted that in spite of these and many similar sad incidents, President Bola Tinubu has shown absolutely no compassion or empathy for those who suffered in this horrific atrocity, but rather acts like those slaughtered in broad daylight were not citizens of the Nigeria that he leads. Meanwhile, the coalition of Northern Groups, that's the CNG, has accused the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, of intimidation, repeatedly overstepping the boundaries of his office and interfering in matters beyond his constitutional mandate. Citing what it called Wike's meddling in matters concerning the Bauchi State Governor, Senator Bala Mohammed, the group said it is imperative to publicly address these issues as they not only threaten the integrity of the political landscape, but also undermine the principles of governance and accountability. In a statement, its national coordinator, Jamilu Charanchi, expressed concerns that Wike's tenure has been marked with a troubling pattern of behavior that includes unwarranted encroachment into territories beyond his jurisdiction. According to him, his blatant disregard for the boundaries of his office is alarming and lacking of his expected responsibility to uphold the principles of federalism and respect for the autonomy of state governments. Charanchi added that Wike's actions suggest a troubling inclination to interfere in the affairs of political parties and to muscle opponents, thereby crossing the red lines of tolerance essential for functional democracy. You're still watching the Midday News right here on Voice of the People Television. We'll go straight to the analysis segment of the news. And joining us now to make sense of these stories and more in the studio with us right now is Barrister Darlington Agumo. Barrister Darlington is a legal practitioner right here in Nigeria and also a public and political affairs analyst and commentator. Barrister, a very good afternoon to you and welcome to the Midday News.
Good afternoon, David, and Happy New Year.
Same to you, Barrister. It's good to have you on the Midday News.
Yes.
All right, then. Also joining us virtually is Mr. Paulua Taiwo. Mr. Paulua is Executive Director, Africa Bridge Initiative, and also a political and public affairs analyst and commentator. Mr. Paulua Taiwo, once again, a very good afternoon to you and welcome to the Midday News.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good to be here today.
Thank you so very much for being here. Let me start off with you, Barrister. As it stands, questions are being raised, and of course, conversations are being raised as well over the interference of the FCT Minister, Minister Nyesom Wike, with some political matters across Nigeria. As it stands, the coalition of northern groups has clearly come out to accuse the minister of meddling in affairs that, according to them, is against his jurisdiction. First off, what's your position with the fact that Wike presently is being accused of these kind of functions, of course, and not within his jurisdiction and powers?
When Wike started this is a political rascality, I knew he would end up like this because no evil lasts forever. Besides, a man who is neither in PDP or APC, I don't need to be told how his story will end. Because at the end of the day, he will be neither here nor there. And that's what is going on now. So Wike, whatever he's doing now is like a dying horse. You know, a drowning man catches as a straw. Look at it yourself. Is there anybody Wike is not quarreling with today? All APC member, PDP member, National Security Advisor, APC leadership. So, he's a gunner.
Now, Doctor, so on this part of his interference, there are questions that are being raised about federalism firewall. In other words, should Nigeria legislate a ministerial non-interference code with personal sanctions for breaches, particularly on the part of maybe travel bans, fines, and removal of office, should any minister go against his jurisdiction? Should this be something the Senate should legislate upon? Because this kind of interference and, of course, conversations surrounding Nyesom Wike is not what his functions as a minister of the FCC should be.
Look, you don't need to legislate on this type of matter. The thing is that Wike was being used, and he was not wise enough to realize it. Are you telling me that if Tinubu and APC did not give Wike the audacity to do what he's doing, will he try it? The answer is capital no. Now that they have finished with him, and Fubara has become the leader of APC in Rivers State, I don't think Wike should be making noise again. If he continues to be too rascality, if he continues to play this rough fight, EFCC will knock on his door. Because from what he's saying, he has already indicted himself. All the things he has been saying since yesterday and all that. The man gave a history of how he stole money, how he did this, how he did, you know. So he has confessed. It's just for the EFCC to pick him up and say, okay, you did all these things, and you are still making noise. So this feeling above the law, it will soon come to an end. Telling the APC he must choose the next governor of Rivers State. Is he the owner of Rivers State? If not for the support given to him by Abuja, will a Wike can he even spit? Not to talk of insulting people in this manner. Is it not because of the cover and the protection given to him from Abuja? So if they withdraw it, what will he do? No, tell me, what will Wike do? Nothing.
Okay. Well, interestingly, we have also joining us virtually Mr. Paul Luatao. Once again, thank you so very much for being here. Still on the same conversation, Mr. Paul Lua, what's your position about the fact that Minister Nyesom Wike seems to be having issues with almost everybody? And the same person a couple of years ago did say, when it comes to godfatherism, it can never be found in Rivers State. How much of do what I say against not do what I do should Minister Nyesom Wike take into consideration whenever he's talking?
Right. For the Nigerian political space, especially talking about the pre-2027 general election cycle, the game is on from different political quarters. But one thing that is very clear from every political leader that we have, especially in this Fourth Republic, is that we have not been able to identify a structural ideology from any of the political leaders that we have as of today. And that is why we are having the challenge with the likes of Barrister Nyesom Wike. Is a legal practitioner, but his activity within the political space is not sounding like somebody who has a legal background. But beyond that, we must also understand that when you have no ideology politically, then everything can come out of your mouth. And everything will always go on well with you, because we believe that everything can always be done with money. And that is why I always have that kind of ideology, that a nation that celebrates materialism above humanity is going nowhere. So that is why we're having this kind of conversation. If not, we are not supposed to be wasting energy on the likes of current Minister of FCT. Is a political figure without a political feather. Is a public office holder without any political party backing. And that means he's a toothless bulldog. The only thing he has now is money to waste around to the media, calling media chat every month. But that is not politics. Politics is not paid on the pages of newspaper. There's so many political juggernauts in Nigeria who are not on the pages of newspaper. So if he thinks he wants to play his own politics on the pages of newspaper, well, he should continue. Like Barrister Daliti said, only time will tell for him to understand that truly the gods are not to be blamed. But that is if the gods knows their onions. So if they don't know their onions, I'm afraid the gods might be blamed this time around.
Oh, well, that's another conversation that we should be having sometime soon. But I want to stay with you, Mr. Oluwatayo, particularly in the fact that the Coalition for United Political Parties clearly has ascribed as a national disgrace and proof of the federal government's failure to protect citizens the recent massacre of defenseless citizens in Kasuwan-Daji community of Niger State by, of course, suspected bandits. Because you would recall no fewer than 42 persons were killed in that particular incident in that Kasuwa-Daji community. What do you make of these kind of conversation about the fact that the presidency clearly did say that they have on-hand report on their part and they are carefully looking at the situation, and of course the perpetrators will be brought to book? That's, of course, according to the federal government. What's your position with these kind of statements that are not laced with actions and results like Nigerians would see as it stands presently? Mr. Paulua.
All right. So, the security challenge of Nigeria is very peculiar. The security apparatus and the architects of Nigeria is porous as of today. We have a gallant officers, both Air Force, Nigerian Army, and the Navy. We have gallant men who are capable of defeating these bandits. But the question is, do we have the political will? Do we have enough intelligence to destroy the bandits? Another conversation we should be having is that, do we have enough missile to waste like that of America? So these are some of the conversations that will guide our activity, especially from the presidency. I was one of the people that do not blame the problem of Nigeria on Jonathan administration. The same way I will not blame the security challenge today of Nigeria on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Now, the question is, where are the traditional rulers in each of the states of Nigeria?
But some persons would bet to differ, Mr. Oluwatayo, because he is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. And that clearly is a position no man in Nigeria has, except him?
Commander-in-chief of the armed forces does not necessarily mean that you can command at any point in time.
No,
There's a command.
Well, Mr. Kodwa, maybe you are trying to be correct by half, because the commander-in-chief has every right to do anything when it comes to the military apparatus of Nigeria.
He has every right,
yes,
but that right cannot be activated at every point in time.
What do you mean it cannot be activated? How do you mean?
It cannot be activated all the time. It can be activated anytime, but it cannot be activated all the time. Now, clearly, don't forget the issue of genocide. When Obasanjo came on board, he was able to level some areas in Bayelsa. You and I were crying foul of genocide. Now, Buhari came in. After Buhari, Tinubu came in. If you want to level the entire Niger state, if you want to level the entire Sokoto, you can see what happened recently from USA. That is another conversation. Now, one thing you must understand is that whatever is happening in my local government, as of today, I will be untruthful to blame it on the presidency. To be sincere with you, I will be untruthful to blame it on Aso Rock. If I have gallant men in my local government and they have enough equipment, the question is, am I giving them the right information? Then another conversation is that who is in charge of every state? Where is the conversation of the state governors? I'm sure the next question you'll be asking me has to do with state police. But before we get to state policing, who is securing each of the local governments in every area in Nigeria? We have 774 local government areas in Nigeria. Who is securing each of those local governments? The answer is not presidency. The answer is not Aso Rock. If each of the local governments are ready for security to be settled in their area, the solution will come out. Because if I'm to be in Aso Rock and I'm to command my troops from Niger to come over to Lagos, before they leave Niger to come down to Lagos to secure Lagos, what do you think will have happened to my citizen in Lagos?
Mr. Kwalua, before we go further, before I come to Barrister, I'm going to ask you a very direct question, and I need maybe 1-2 sentences for your answer. When the presidency declared a state of emergency in Rivers State, was there a major mayhem? And do you think he had top intelligence to have declared a state of emergency in a Rivers State?
And he has exercised that right.
Okay. All right. Thank you so very much. I think you've answered me. Let me come back to this. I'm going to come back to you on this. Barrister, I heard you shaking your head, and of course, your body language was quite different from what was going on. Same question. What's your position?
My position is that we should not be trying to pamper Tinubu in whatever shape or form because of this insecurity. He told us not to pity him, that he prepared for the job. Is that not true? He is the commander-in-chief, and the buck stops on his table. He swore on oath to protect Nigerians. So any Nigerian who thinks that he will not blame Tinubu for insecurity, that person is not sincere. That is the major thing he swore to do. That is the major job. Just like Donald Trump is reacting. Your citizens are your greatest asset. Nobody should tamper with them. That is the truth. Anywhere in the world, your citizen is the first, your first asset, the greatest asset you have, so you must protect them. If you cannot do that, you have failed. No, make no mistake about it. Do you know when I know that Tinubu has failed? It was when one Sheikh Tanshi threatened the Tinubu's wife, direct threat to him that the woman should be killed because she's a Christian. She's an infidel. Tinubu did not even open his mouth and utter a word. He didn't call for that man's arrest. A president. A president. You can't even try that with me. I will call you to go and show me the God that says you should kill my wife first. Me and him will battle it. He will tell me what my wife did. Not to talk of a president. And you are telling me, please, let nobody say this in again. Because you are trying to pamper Tinubu.
On that part,
and that is not fair to us.
On that part, Barrister, the path of the wife, don't you think the president also was just trying to be a bit understanding, not to even overreact based on what was said?
What are you talking about? Do you know that if Tinubu had reacted, in fact, if that man had been prosecuted and jailed, others will learn a lesson.
Now, talking about prosecution,
that is the first thing to do. I don't get the example with president outside here. Donald Trump said that Maduro was producing drugs and the drugs are heading to US and they are affecting his people. Did you hear the allegation? I hear terrorists are walking into Nigeria. They are even threatening your authority, telling you what to do in your own country. Some of them took over part of Benue and Plateau, and they are there now. They are there. Your own people are in IDP camp. Please, I don't want to...
Now, Barrister, talking about prosecution, arrest, I'm going to talk about the arrest to justice gap, because this is a bit concerning. And of course, you're a lawyer. Of all suspected arrested individuals for mass killing in 2024, how many do you think have reached the charges and trial conviction so far? Because as it stands, we're not seeing anyone go public about
David, the federal government of Nigeria is not serious about this insecurity. If they are, Donald Trump wouldn't have come into Nigeria. In fact, this is the worst of it all. That a foreign country is coming here to help you protect yourself, David. Do you know what is shame? Do you know what is embarrassing? Imagine if APC were in opposition and this type of thing happened.
But the federal government also said they had a coordinated effort in that particular strike.
Whatever they are telling me now, they are talking to themselves. They should have done the needful before Donald Trump will come here. If they had done the needful, Donald Trump will not come. It is because of the sentiment they brought into this matter. This is insecurity. No tribalism, no ethnicity, no religion should come in. But the federal government of Nigeria is afraid of some people. Nobody even want to call their name out. Nobody want to mention their name. What the hell? Are they the owner of Nigeria? Instead of you to be very frontal and deal with them, you are pampering them, covering them. Meanwhile, other countries are laughing at us, giant of Africa.
Oh, well, let me take this conversation back to Mr. Paulua Taiwo. Again, I want to find out from you, Mr. Paulua, if you're going to rate this administration when it comes to the security situation that has bedeviled us as a nation, how would you rate the federal government as led by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, of course, on security?
Administration in Nigeria, as at the 2023, early 2024, I was one of the people that spoke directly to the presidency that the presidency is not serious about the security challenge of Nigeria. And I was very clear about it. But moreover, towards the middle of 2024, now 2025, we have seen different actions that shows that the president has the power to do more. Like you have said earlier, he has the power to do more. And he has seen that his job is at risk, especially towards the second term, because it is only those who are alive that can vote for him. So I'm sure maybe that is why we have seen some strategic move. And don't also forget that as an international law student, I also understand that there is no sovereignty break without any form of collaboration, both internally and externally. So whatever you think, the almighty action that has been activated by Donald Trump still has some internal collaboration. Because if the president or whoever is working with him on security architect are not collaborating with whatever is coming from external, then the the whole Ulabalu will still continue. But before that, we must also understand that what transpired before my administration, what transpired in the last 2 administrations, and what is happening in my current administration. We need to weigh in between the two, because it is very easy for me to speak out of Aso Rock, but it is not easy for you to speak when you are in Aso Rock. So the conversation is not the same. You can say that the president has all the power. Yes, I've told you, I know he has all the power, but that you have all the power does not mean that you use the power all the time. There are two things entirely. Because if I'm bringing out a particular architect for Borno State, don't forget, I cannot bring that same architect into Nasarawa State or Yobe State. Why? The territorial gap within those 2 or 3 states are not the same. So whoever is saying that whatever armor I'm bringing out for Niger, I should bring out the same armor for Sokoto State, that person is not a sincere Nigerian.
All right, then.
That person is just trying to be political.
I still want to stay with you really on this security situation, because Nigerians will also want to know better. And of course, as I speak to you, some will be saying that you're trying to speak some truth by half, by their own judgment. But let me find out from you. Are you aware that a former spokesperson, a former assistant to the Minister of Defense for State, has accused him of sponsoring, and not only sponsoring, doing deals with these bandits? Are you aware of that? Even though it's alleged.
That's what? I'm aware that what?
That a former SA to the governor, the former governor, who is presently the Minister of Defense for State, I'm talking about Matawali now, has accused him of sponsoring and promoting these bandits while he was in office.
That is a very good statement, but I leave it to be a political statement. Why was that statement not made when he first got to the office, or when he was still a former governor? You know, you can't be listening to a political statement at the wrong time, trying to save your head because you want to seem to be bold. Why don't you come out to be bold when he was the state governor, for us to understand what is happening?
Okay.
Now, let me tell you, are you aware that Honorable Patrick Obayagbon, towards the 2011 and the rest, he stated clearly that he was speaking against President Jonathan administration. And while he was speaking live, I caught him live on NTA. Immediately he finished speaking, he got a call from the presidency. One of the close aides to Mr. President offered him 11 million naira that he should continue on the national television to speak against Jonathan. These same people that are working with him. So that somebody is speaking like this against a former minister or a former governor, for me, it's not acceptable. It's a political statement. Okay. Where were you when the person was in office?
All right, then.
But don't also forget.
I think I understand the position there as well.
Now, don't also forget that there is no security challenge in Nigeria of political actors.
Are you also aware? Sorry, Mr. Paulo Atawu. Are you also aware that the same person we're talking about, I'm talking about Matawali now, has said to the state governor, who is his predecessor, that no security movement would happen in that state without his input? Exactly. I'm talking about the executive governor of a state being told by his former boss. Are you aware of that as well?
Now, you have just answered the question by yourself. He said by his former boss. Yeah. So he has the power, being a political godfather, to speak to his political son. Okay. So he's speaking to his political son, but he's not speaking to the entire Nigeria.
Thank you so very much, Mr.
So it's not left for the political son to be brave and act against his political godfather.
Okay, all right. Let's bring this conversation to the studio. Barrister, I'm trying to make too many meanings to what he's saying, and I'm trying not to assume some of the things he said, but he has clearly spoken his position. I want to move away from this conversation, maybe in 30 seconds. I want you to react to the same conversation of Matawale still being in office after being allegedly accused by his
You
own.
see, David, without looking at it from any angle, what is fueling this insecurity is what? Sentiment. Either religious, party, ethnic, or tribal sentiment. If these things are removed out of the equation, we'll fight this in headlong. Nothing else, nothing.
All right.
Because from the way we are talking and the way we are looking at this thing, we are looking at it from the angle that it suits us, our person, you know, our person, and Nigeria is sinking. Imagine what will happen with the allegation against Matawali. Please, do you need to ask him to go? Do you need to ask him to leave office? At least let us verify what they are talking about. But because Matawali is in their good book, there is something he is doing for them, just like Wike. Just like Wike, they are using them for certain purposes.
Oh, well, Barrister, because
meanwhile, it is to the detriment of Nigeria. You can see it.
Well, because of our time, really, Barrister, we need to go. I just want you, maybe in 10 seconds, the position of the National Association of Residence Doctors claiming that the industrial action forthcoming, the planned one, is inevitable because government is clearly not talking to the MOU that is signed with her a couple of weeks ago.
Look, if they are going into national industrial action, and they are not ready to go the whole hog, they are not ready to make something out of it, they should sit down and manage the situation. How many times will they go on strike?
All right, then.
At the end of the day, nothing comes out of it. Are they serious at all?
All right,
if
then.
they want to down to, let them down to. Let the government know that, yes, I don't like this idea. Every time we are going on strike, at the end of the day, what happened? How many times will you go? The politician go on strike?
Big
David, do they go on strike? Nigerians have not learned any lesson.
Because of our time, really, this is where we
all
have
these
to do.
unions, they should think. Do the government of India, those who stole our money, did they go on strike? Somebody is pocketing 210 trillion naira that we are looking for now. Mostly, some Nigerians have pocketed that money.
Oh, well.
You are telling me there's no money to
This
pay
is where
them.
we have to draw anchor on the analysis segment. We really are pressed for time. I want to say a big thank you to Mr. Okpeoluwa Taiwo, who, of course, lent his voice on the analysis segment. Mr. Okpeoluwa is Executive Director of Africa Bridge Initiative and also Public and Political Affairs Analyst. And also we have in the studio with us, we had in the studio as well, Barrister Darlington Agomo, who is a legal practitioner right here in Nigeria, and of course, Public and Political Affairs commentator. Barrister, thank you so very much for being here.
It's my
We'll
pleasure,
take a
David.
very short break right now. When we return, the rest of the news will be up next. Please do stay with us. Glad to have you back. It is still the midday news right here on Voice of the People Television. Let's go straight to talking business. The Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, the MASA, has granted stakeholders a 30-day window from January the 5th, 2026 for self-audit and voluntary compliance as it begins a special operational enforcement against non-compliant operators on the Nigerian maritime domain. The requirements include proper vessel registration, valid certification, updated ownership documentation, adherence to cabotage provision relating to vessel ownership, registration, manning, and build. It also emphasized the importance of timely payments and remittance of all statutory levies and fees as prescribed by law. Codename Operation Zero Tolerance and Non-Compliance. The Marine Notice was pursuant to the agency's statutory mandate under the NIMASA Act 2007, the Coastal Inland Shipping Act 2003, the Merchant Shipping Act 2007, and other applicable regulations. Consequently, all ship and vessel owners, operators, international and national oil companies, masters of merchant ships, shipping companies, and vessel operators at the free trade zone, among other stakeholders operating or intending to operate within Nigerian waters, are required to ensure full compliance with statutory requirements. Meanwhile, the NIMASA Director General, Dr. Dayo Moberola, has reassured all stakeholders of the agency's commitment to promoting indigenous shipping development enhancing maritime safety and security, protecting the marine environment, and ensuring strict compliance with Nigeria's maritime laws. And from business, we move straight to talking sports. Manchester United winger Amad Diallo stirred at Côte d'Ivoire beats Burkina Faso 3-0 to become the first African Cup of Nations defending champion to reach the quarterfinals since 2010. Diallo struck the opening goal and created a second for Yan Domani before halftime. Substitute Zoumana Traoré completed the scoring in the closing minutes in Marrakesh. Côte d'Ivoire will now travel south to the Moroccan coastal city Agadir, where they will face record 7-time champion Egypt on Saturday for a semi-final place. Since Egypt successfully defended the title in Angola 16 years ago, 7 title holders have failed to reach the last 8. Cameroon and Senegal made the last 16, and Zambia, Cote d'Ivoire, and Algeria were eliminated after the group stage, while Egypt and Nigeria failed to qualify for the tournament that year. And to wrap up the media news, we go straight talking entertainment. The National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA, is set to collaborate with Future Map Foundation to transform creative and digital industry in northern Nigeria by providing technology capacity building and establishing a world-class film studio. The public-private initiative is designed to align the northern region's creative operations with global best practices, leveraging the power of the digital economy to drive national growth. Announcing the intervention during a roundtable with tech innovators and Kannywood stakeholders at the PR Nigeria Center for Research and Development in Kano, NITDA Director General Kashifu Inua noted that filmmakers often wield more power in shaping public perception and behavioral change than political actors. He urged producers to move beyond profit-seeking and create content that inspires the next generation of tech builders. He further pledged that the agency would provide advanced infrastructure through a modern studio, incubation center for emerging technologies, and training to enhance content quality. And with that entertainment story, we've come to the end of the media news right here on Voice of the People Television. Do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel. On YouTube, we are at Voice of the People TV, and on all other social media platforms, we are at VOP TV Live. Up next, top of the hour, is Spotlights with Precious Agumanu. I am David Edwin. Do have a good afternoon.
VOP TV. Now, you have more than a voice.
This is African News on Voice of the People Television, where we don't just bring you the news, we bring you Africa's heartbeat, the policies that shapes our world, and the economy that determines our future. African News on Voice of the People Television. Stay with us.
Join us as we drive into the world of politics through insightful interviews with prominent political figures